Welcome into the Family Pet Podcast, the podcast for curious pet parents, where we believe the more you know about pet healthcare, the better pet parent you can be. I'm your host, Michael Shirley, joined for the final time in 2023 by Stephen. Welcome in, brother.
Yeah, it's the last time. We have recorded.
Do we say Happy New Year yet, or do we say that at the next week? I guess we say that next week.
Get ready for a Happy New Year.
That's right.
We can say that. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. We spent it together, so
it was good. I thought it was good. I hope all of our listeners
family.
enjoyed themselves. I know for a fact that we have listeners out there that have added new pets to their family, and we hope that the Family Pet Podcast has helped get you prepared for that. I sent them links to some of our popular episodes about adding new cats to the family and adding new puppies to the family and older dogs. So this is the time of year that people add pets to the family because they're home. A lot of kids are home for the break from school. Many careers out there get a break at this time of the year. Veterinary medicine, not one of those.
Yeah, my wife works in the medical industry, and they're all fall this week.
Well,
she was asking, why are you going into work
today? Your
boss
is a jerk. Yeah, he doesn't let you off. So, I'm sorry. Got to pay the bills around here. So today's episode of the Family Pet Podcast, we're going to be sharing with you kind of our top 5 episodes as voted on by Stephen and me.
Yeah, so. It's by our most loyal listeners. No, right. We did this last year. We kind of did an end of year recap. It was really encouraging. I felt it was meaningful to look back at what we had started and where we had come. And today we're doing similar. And once again, it's a struggle to pick my top 5.
So you gave us bonus 4 episodes.
We've got some honorable mentions, but it was also we've had amazing guests.
We've had really great guests this year,
and I hope the information has been amazing and incredibly educational, informative, helpful for this year.
I hope you've enjoyed this infomercial about the Family Pet Podcast.
Okay, so for those watching at home, we've got the laptop set up, and my face is covered up by this box that's saying, "What should I do?"
We don't know.
I need to reach over and kill that. So
well, that's fine.
You do that while I'm.
All right. So the way that we're going to go today, we have our top 5 episodes. But before we get into those episodes, we are going to give you our honorable mentions. This is because we couldn't limit it to the top 5. We should have just made it a top 10 list, but that's okay.
I mean, we recorded 42 episodes this year. So yeah, I want to make it these top 5 are truly special and important. But we did have a couple that just missed the list. Just missed the top.
Well, they made our honorable mention list. 2 of the episodes are with the same guest, and that was Dr. Amy Pike. So she joined us for episode 64, which was a very highly downloaded and listened to episode, and that was "Why is my cat peeing outside of the litter box?"
Absolutely,
with Dr. Pike. So if you have a cat at home, you might want to listen to that before they start peeing outside the litter box.
Yeah, because it's always medical.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of it is behavioral.
Can be.
So important stuff.
She talks a lot about that in episode 64. Why is my cat peeing outside the litter box? Then she came back and did another episode with us. This was also a very highly downloaded episode, and that was episode 68. And the topic was dog aggression. And the subtopic was, why do dogs act aggressively? And again, we found that it was more about not that they're mean, but that they're scared.
They're scared and then often in pain.
Correct.
And so important information that it's not a bad dog. It's
one thing that I learned in that episode that I heard her say, and I have used it several times since, is that a lot of times when our dogs are showing signs of what we say is aggression, it's really distance encouraging behavior.
Distance encouraging behavior. I do remember that.
They're saying, hey, back off, man.
Please give me some space.
And the reasons are sometimes they're scared, sometimes they're in pain, but they're saying, please give me space. And that's a good episode there. A lot of good nuggets, especially for those people that are adding new pets to their family. Go and listen to both of those episodes. All right, you want to tell us about our next?
Our next one's actually the most recent episode. You're pointing to the different one now. Sorry. So we'll back up a second. Episode 71 with Dr. David Dycus was on canine orthopedics, and not just canine, but canine orthopedics is more common than feline orthopedics. But talking about common orthopedic injuries, broken bones, but then in particular the cranial cruciate ligament, the canine version of the ACL
what
tear.
we call the ACL in human medicine. Yeah.
But talking about
that was one of your favorite.
Well, again, I'm trying to get informed because I just am afraid that it's coming. I don't. Maverick's 5 years old. He just turned 5 last week, and he is, knock on whatever this fake wood is, that no significant injuries. Although, episode 72 was about osteoarthritis. He is starting to show some signs.
Oh, you know what that means?
So
we're going to talk about that in a little while.
I mean, there's an episode that's for that as well.
Our last honorable mention was episode 83. It is our most recent episode besides this one. And it was with Dr. Christine Garrett about preventative medicine or preventive medicine, whichever. You'll learn more about that, probably more than you want to know in that episode. So that's episode 83. Not only was it a great information episode full of great information, it was our first vodcast. So it was the first time that we really set up successfully.
Yes, we tried with Heather Moore.
It didn't work.
Didn't quite work.
So anyway, if you are listening to this on the traditional podcast platforms like iTunes or Spotify, but you can also find us on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and type in Family Pet Health, and you'll find the Family Pet Podcast there with all of our other videos about our office. So if you want to learn about vet medicine and actually see some of our team in action performing some of the things that you've heard us talk about here on the podcast, go to our YouTube channel and watch those videos, and we will continue to build that out in 2024.
Yeah, that's a goal, and this is why we've got our studio set up, and we've got to frame it a little bit better. But I made sure that my logo is showing, and,
good job.
And your logo's blocked by the computer monitor.
But you can see the Family Pet Health Podcast logo. I do want to mention this to our listeners. We have recently updated our logo for the Family Pet Podcast. If you like that, if you send us a question that you would like for us to answer, we'll go to the mailbags or the email bag. And in return for sending us a question, we'll send you a sticker of the podcast logo. So if you think it's clever, it was designed by one of the students at Rockville High School, and she did a great job. It's a really cool logo. The more you look at it, the more little hidden nuggets you find in it.
It's a great logo, and there are professionals. You have not been shy about sharing the fact that, hey, I had a high school student design my logo, and there are media professionals, graphic artists who have just raved about it.
Yeah, they told me I needed to go back and give her more money. So because we just did like a little contest for the students, and she was happy, but
she got school credit.
She got school credit, and now she.
I hope she got an A+ on the assignment.
So anyway, check that logo out, and if you'd like a sticker, just send us a message, and we'll send you one. All right, it's time for the top 5 episodes of the Family Pet Podcast for 2023, as selected by Stephen and Michael. Now, the way that I factored in, I went through and just thought about which episodes did I just really enjoy. Then I did look at how many times they were liked, downloaded, and shared as well. So those all factored into to this top 5 list. And we'll have links in the show notes to this list. You can go back, I guess, like a playlist, you might say. Yep. And listen to ours in case you missed them. So, all right, number 5, without further ado.
Sorry, I've got to get ready.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, number 5 was an episode that came out of my work in, I guess, in chauffeuring my daughter around to dog sporting events. So my daughter is competing in agility. She's really good at it. Her dog's good, and I have been introduced to a whole world of new people in dog sports. And we had Ashton Bemis came and joined us for episode 50, and it was all about dog sports. And here's a clip from episode 50 with Ashton Bemis. For our curious pet parents out there that maybe have a dog, what are the benefits to participating in dog sports with your dog?
There are so many benefits, not only for your dog, but for yourself. It gets me up off the couch and doing something with my dog, which I think is great. It also helps you find community, which I think is really cool. And a lot of people don't really think about that. But a lot of my best friends have come from playing dog sports. And I think that's really cool.
So it's just a reason to get together with friends.
Absolutely. And it's a great thing to do with your dog and, enrich them as we were talking about earlier.
So it helps them with their health, their mental stimulation. It helps them from being less destructive at home because they're not bored.
Yeah, it gives them a job to do, something to focus on. Also gives you a training focus as well.
Is there, I know this will vary probably by the sport, but is it a huge time commitment to participate in dog sports?
It can be. You can be as competitive or as non-competitive as you want to be. If you want to be really competitive, you're going to put more time and effort into training for your sport. But it can be a very laid back hobby where you don't have to put that much time into it. So,
okay. Dog sports are for all people with all types of time commitments. That's what I gathered out of that.
Indeed.
We're going to have many other experts in specific dog sport events in future episodes of the podcast. Ashton came back and did another episode with us just about disc sports. So what people would say is frisbee type thing. So throwing discs. So that was a great episode. So I really, if you're thinking I need to do something with my dog, or maybe you're thinking I need to do some physical activity in the new year, I would encourage you to knock out two birds with one stone and commit yourself to maybe 6 months or at least a class with your dog doing an activity. You can find, you can go to that episode and learn how to find all the different types of dog sports and how to find people that are specifically doing those types of things in which you're interested, and you can join them for classes. And
yeah, that episode, Ashton listed out 6, 7, 8 different ones with different links, different contacts. So it's a great episode for all of that.
All right. You want to tell us about number 4 on our list there?
Yeah.
I think this was your, even though it should have been mine. But
yeah, I was surprised that this didn't make your list, as our selection for number 4 is from episode 49. Actually, the episode before the dog sports, entitled "My Pet Has the Sugars," otherwise known as diabetes. And our guest was Dr. Sarah Wooten, who came on to kind of talk us through diabetes. I mean, you're obviously familiar with diabetes. I don't know much about it, but kind of how it affects our pets. And here is a clip from that episode.
Well, diabetes is it's a common hormonal disorder in dogs and cats, and it's probably the most common type of diabetes in dogs is called diabetes mellitus, where they just don't make enough of a hormone called insulin. And insulin is largely responsible for regulating blood sugar in dogs and cats. And when they develop diabetes, their blood sugar becomes unregulated and it's too high, either because they don't have the ability of their pancreas, which is the organ that makes insulin, it's not making enough, or they become resistant to insulin, and that's usually because they are overweight, obese. Typically in dogs, it's most commonly caused by a problem with the pancreas. It's just not making enough insulin. And it's usually, they think it's an immune-mediated destruction of those cells that make the insulin. And so that's the most common type in dogs. And then in cats, the most common type is type 2 diabetes, where they develop insulin resistance because they're too heavy. Now, some people can get confused as well because there's a third disease called diabetes insipidus, which has the same name, but it's completely different disease. It's an unrelated disease of water metabolism. So that's basically diabetes in a nutshell. They don't make enough insulin. They have problems with high blood sugar, and then high blood sugar wreaks havoc with the rest of the body.
Well, what I was going to say is, that sounds a lot like what we got in humans too.
Yeah,
so.
it's a very similar similar disease. The biology of it all. I don't
whatever you want to say. It's about the same stuff. Yeah.
But again, one of the things that was important to note, as she mentioned, that cats who get diabetes are most commonly type 2, which is in effect caused by obesity. So
correct. Yes, there's a strong correlation there.
Correlation.
And also, if you get their weight under control and start treating them, everything kicks back up and takes over. So when the funny thing that we talked about in that episode is, my wife and I got married. A year later, I was diagnosed with diabetes, type 1. Then we got a cat that she brought home from her office, who also developed he developed diabetes, but she fixed the cat and she couldn't fix me.
Can't fix type 1.
That's right. Well, that was a great episode. That was episode 49. It seems that we were in the same area. We had a bunch of back to back.
The
really
beginning of this year, we had great episodes.
We had great episodes all year
year long. But some of our favorites actually were from a while back.
Almost a year ago to the day, we recorded. We went to Florida and took all of our podcast equipment with us and toted it around the world's largest veterinary conference called VMX. And we had the privilege of sitting in on and interviewing 2 veterinary professionals right before they started teaching a wet lab on dentistry.
A wet lab in which
we got to watch them set up for it. It's very fascinating, and those professionals got to learn a lot about dentistry. We got to learn a lot about dentistry before they started, and that was in episode 47, and it was protecting your pet's pearly whites. So it was all about dentistry in veterinary medicine, and that was with Bonita Altier. And here's a clip from episode 47 with Bonita Altier. When the pet is fully anesthetized, you can really get a good exam, and we're taking radiographs, which may show hidden problems.
The first thing I do out of the gate, once we get our patients anesthetized safely and get the monitors all on, their IV fluids are flowing, and we've got everything stabilized, is to take full mouth dental radiographs. And that is key, because 60% of the tooth is the root. And even more important than that, we need to evaluate the house the tooth lives in. I like to call it the house.
That's good.
Yep. Because it is the surrounding bone. And often we have to decide to extract teeth, unfortunately, because the bone has been lost to the point that there's no longer a socket for that tooth to inhabit. So we don't want to extract teeth. We don't love extracting teeth. It's not our goal at all, but it definitely winds up being a situation where if we let dental disease progress to a point that we've got enough bone loss that we just can't keep the tooth there anymore, then we have to make that decision. And the radiographs tell us a lot, but we're also going to clinically evaluate the mouth. So just like when you're at the dentist, they probe around your teeth and you're calling out numbers, we're doing that very same thing. And we're looking for all the things your pet cannot tell us about that's maybe causing them to be at best uncomfortable, but at worst downright painful every day that they're awake trying to handle it, because they can't call the dentist and help themselves.
I didn't realize the echo that was in that room, but anyway, that was a fantastic episode that we had. And so it was Bonita Altier and Candace Spear was the other guest that was a part of that group. We were so impressed with Bonita that we hired her to come to Murfreesboro to Family Pet Health, and she taught our entire team about dental procedures and techniques, and helped us improve our imaging, and we reevaluated what we now call the core dentistry or core dental procedure. So it was great. I highly recommend that episode. All right, Stephen, you want to tell us our number 2?
All right, number 2, our guest for number 2 was Pam Johnson Bennett, who is no stranger to this podcast. She is one of our favorite guests. We've had her on 4 times. And every time that she is on, she brings incredible information, great for our listeners. And I believe, if I'm correct, that this was our top downloaded episode of 2023.
It was indeed.
So that tells you something, that number one, our next one.
It was anyway. Well, let's stick with our number 2.
But this was the top 5 tips for anyone considering.
Top 5 things every cat owner should know.
Every cat owner should know. And here we go.
Pam Johnson Bennett.
Understand how cats communicate. They're not dogs. And as much as we want to love them like they are members of our family, because they are not little human babies. So recognize how a cat communicates. Respect body language. If the cat is giving a distance increasing body language, which means I don't really want to be bothered right now, pay attention to those things. And that's how you strengthen the relationship.
I play rough with the cats. Is that good or bad? Will they tell me if they like it?
But see, the bad part is you may be damaging the relationship, because it may start out as good, but then you may not be paying attention to how they've crossed over into now becoming defensive.
Yeah. Because like my dogs I think they do. I don't know. Now I'm questioning all the way I show my...
you might be playing with your cats the way your dogs like it.
Yeah.
But, cats they're not wrestlers, really.
Right.
They're hunters.
Even though they wrestle with each other.
They wrestle with each other because there is a communication that they have that you don't have. Just like a lot of people will say, well, I reprimand my cat by, smacking him on the nose the way the mother cat would. But the mother cat is also doing a whole bunch of other communication that we can't do.
There is never an episode that has Pam Johnson Bennett that's not quality. She's our number one guest.
I'm not a lot of cat history.
Mm-hmm.
I always learn so much when she comes on, and in such an enjoyable way to hear her reprimand you so politely,
so nicely.
It's
like, well, you may not be paying it.
You might be damaging the relationship.
Tell him he's wrong.
Oh,
well, we really enjoy Pam coming on the show so many times. She's our go-to person for cat questions, and she literally wrote the book. So check out episode 57 and all the other ones. Just go to the podcast and search for Pam Johnson Bennett, and it'll pull them all up. I think is she a 5-time guest? Four-time guest. We have to get her a jacket when she becomes a 5-timers club.
That's right. We have two members of the 5-timers club, and let's see if we can get
that on there. All right, number 1, the top episode for the Family Pet Podcast from 2023,
as voted by both of us.
Correct. Without consultation, we both had this as the strong episode number 1, because I think, for me personally, it was because I appreciated the way in which this guest educated the two of us and our listeners on something that we really were. We didn't know anything about it, but I
heard this topic described as near magic.
Yes.
I understand the science, but it still feels or sounds so magical, and especially the results.
we sound like traveling salesman. Okay, what is it about? What is the episode? Our favorite episode of 2023 was episode 73 with Dr. Tamara Grubb, and the topic was new treatment for canine arthritis, and we were talking about the new anti-nerve growth factor monoclonal antibodies.
Librela for dogs and Silencia for cats that we have in the clinic, that we are seeing great results with our patients. And she was just coming on to describe it and explain it.
We told her, talk to us like we were 5, and she did a good job. So let's listen without further ado. This is our highlight from episode 73 with Dr. Tamara Grubb.
And so now we have this second drug class for dogs. So we had NSAIDs, the nonsteroidals, and we had a number of those. Yay, they're a good drug class. and now a brand new drug class. So now we have 2. And I'm just going to pitch in just a second for cats. You can edit out cats if you want, but there's been no FDA approved drug for treatment of arthritis in cats at all, never. And now we have this new class. Ta-da!
I don't know that I knew that.
Can the cats not take
NSAIDs?
gabapentin and carprofen?
Well, cats can. There are some NSAIDs that cats can take, but they're not FDA approved for pain of osteoarthritis.
Okay.
So, there's Maybe that's my trivia fun fact.
You can hear the light bulb go off.
I'm learning lots today. I'm already on like number 2.
So is that just extra label or off label?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so there's 2 NSAIDs that are used for acute pain in cats, so meloxicam and robenacoxib, but neither one are approved for chronic pain.
Okay.
In the U.S. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, sorry, we cut you off on that. So
this new class applies to dogs and to cats.
Yes. It's a very species specific. Each drug is very species specific, but from the same class. The new drug class is the anti-nerve growth factor monoclonal antibody.
Anti-nerve growth factor.
Is that hyphenated, nerve growth?
This does not have a cool acronym. It doesn't.
Yeah. NGF. Okay, so anti-nerve growth factor monoclonal antibody.
Yeah, so you could shorten it to anti-NGF MAB, because MABs, that's a very common term for monoclonal antibody.
MAB. A MAB. Okay.
I'm going to be so smart when I talk to our techs today.
They're going to be like, where'd you come? Be like, I've been studying.
I went to school this morning. All right. Anti-nerve growth monoclonal antibodies.
Or anti-NGF MAB.
What does that mean and do?
It's a mouthful, isn't it? And they do a lot. It's super cool. So remember, we just now talked about prostaglandins, and that is the target. So prostaglandins cause pain, and that's the target for the NSAIDs. Nerve growth factor also causes pain. So it is a target for this new drug class, because pain is very complex. There's not one cause. And so this nerve growth factor is actually pretty wicked. It causes pain. It causes pain to amplify. So obviously we need to find some way to get rid of nerve growth factor. And how is that? Well, with this new drug platform, now there's a lot of drugs in this new platform, this monoclonal antibody platform. So the monoclonal antibody targets and neutralizes this nasty pain generator, nerve growth factor.
Well, you can actually hear us learning. so if we had the video, then you would have seen us going, expressing. But I learned a tremendous amount during that episode and felt much better prepared to talk to our clients about Silencia and Librela.
It was not game-changing, but it's a game-changing drug.
Correct.
And to be able to understand it and to explain it, I felt so much more equipped to do my job and to help our clients. It just was fantastic. And I've shared that episode several times when, hey, we've got this drug, we've got this episode you should listen to, and people come back and say, now I get it.
I get it. Yep.
She explains it in a way that I could never.
That episode fulfilled the mission of the Family Pet Podcast better than any other one, I think, just because it was so the concept and understanding was so deficient for us. And after that episode, we moved so much closer to understanding that it was great. I hope that all of our episodes do that for different people that are out there listening to it. We appreciate all of you listening. We're coming up on the end of our second season here, and we've had a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do this as long as people keep listening, as long as you keep sending us questions, things you would like us to talk about. We'll continue to do these episodes and put it out there for listeners, forever, I guess.
Absolutely. We'll keep going.
That's right. Well, it is time in the show for our fun fact. And I asked you to get a fun fact about podcasts. And you said you came up with something that was eye-opening for you. What is your fun fact for today? What will help our listeners win trivia night or impress their friends and family at the New Year's celebrations that they're attending?
Well, this fun fact will help us impress our friends and family. But it might help you win trivia. 99% of podcasts do not make it to episode 22.
Wow.
99% of podcasts do not make it to episode 22. And that's, I mean, there are some that are designed to be a short term,
right?
But 99% of podcasts worldwide do not make it to episode 22. And even 90% don't make it to episode 3.
Well, it's a lot of work.
It's
very easy to get started. It is much harder to continue.
Right.
It's a lot of work. I mean, every episode is 20 minutes long. We spend more than 20 minutes putting it together. So anyway, we've enjoyed it. At least I have.
I'm looking forward to, we had 42 episodes this year. We had 42 episodes in season 1. I think we'll probably have a few more because we took quite a extended break.
We took a big break when we moved.
The move. But if you at home are enjoying it, I would ask that you leave a review, a rating, the 5-star.
Depends on which platform you're using, but yeah.
But you know what we're talking about. Send that or make that shout out to us. We would
That's
appreciate
all we
that.
want. You didn't get us a Christmas present, and that's fine. We forgive you. But if you want to make it up to us, just go and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast,
and tell someone else about the Family Pet Podcast. And please, and help spread the message.
Help us help you help your friends.
That's right. And help your pets, more importantly.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
We're here to help the pets.
That's right. Well, we hope that this episode has helped you to be a better pet parent. And until next time, stay curious. Another good